How do you win in 2026? Now, most people will have had a break at some sort over the Christmas holiday period and they'll come out of blocks, but they're going to come out of the blocks slow. And the problem is that December is usually a short month because people take a bit of a holidays or they're taking time out. And January is also a short month. And so what ends up happening, you have two shortish months and then come end of January, we've got credit cards that are due, we've got holiday times, kids go back to school, they need school uniforms, all that sort of stuff happens. What happens, we have a cash flow crunch. So how do you make sure that you win in 2026? So this is the key things. There are 4 things to do. To win in 2026, we've really got 4 things we want to make sure that we're super focused on. The first one is clarity. And what I mean by clarity is I know that a lot of people just get tired. They fall across the line at the break at the end of the year and they go, the problem is they get into the break and by the time they're spending time with relatives, they do all the holiday stuff, they've got all these to-do lists that they're thinking about. And so what ends up happening is they're not actually present with their family and friends. And so they have a half break, but their mind's actually somewhere else. Then when they come out the blocks in January, what ends up happening is they kind of haven't rested enough. And so they're kind of like in a half a rest mode and then half in activity mode. So the first 1 or 2 weeks, they're pretty slow at the blocks. And for those that are in Australia, we have Australia Day. So there's another long weekend. Kids go back to school. And so there's just a lack of rhythm. And then all of a sudden we've got this cash flow crunch. Now, clarity is just making sure that we know exactly what we're here to do. Now, the way we do that is very simply, is a very simple chart that looks something like this. And that is, where do we want to be in the business? This you can do this personally. Keep in mind that a business, you could be a leader within an organisation. Your business, you just have one client. That's the company that you work for. So where do you want to be in 3 years? And when you look at this one, you want to be thinking, in 3 years' time, what would take my breath away? What would be amazing? And you, from that place, now thinking, well, where do I want to be in 2 years and where do I want to be in 1 year? Most people, if they look at where they are now, they just look where I want to do in this next year. But the trick of this is begin with the end in mind. Now, beyond 3 years, I don't think most people really know what's going to happen beyond that with all the changes that are happening. But what we want to do here in the clarity is know, where do you want to be in 3 years? And the question is, for us to be there, where do we need to be in the 2 year mark? And then where do we need to be in the 1 year mark? Now we know really clear around where we want to be. And what are the criteria that we're looking at? We're looking at revenue or profit. So really, really simple. What's the revenue and the profit that you want at this year? What's it going to be at this year? And what's it going to be at this year here? Second category that we want to have a look at then is, to do that, how many product that you're going to sell. Like, it's a really simple thing. People set a target, but they actually don't really know how many actual product. Now, you might have 1 or 2 or 3. So what you want to look at there is your average dollar sale through how many products. So how many of these products do you need to sell for you to deliver this year? Really simple. Most people miss it. The third point that we're going to have a look at here is, what are the promotions that we need to do? What's the marketing and sales that's required to do that? You might have to run a campaign every month to do something like that, or it could be a campaign every 2 months or 3 months. And the very last part of this is, what does the team look like? Because at the end of the day, the team is the thing that is going to do the promotions, that's going to help build and distribute and deliver on the product. They're going to help you achieve the goal. So that's the first thing, is super duper high clarity on what you want to be focusing on. And that's how you can have organizational clarity. Everyone on the team knows what we're doing. So that's a really simple chart. Get in there and get that one done pretty quick, smart. Okay, second thing that we want to look at here is where your focus is going. Now, when I talk about focus here, there's a Tao saying that says, where the focus goes, the energy flows. And I believe that to be very true. And the really simple way to do that is, if someone comes to me and they go, oh, my cash is down. We've been coaching and mentoring now for well over a decade, worked with over 2,400 businesses, like every single person with their own personalised plan. And the question is, when they say their cash flow is down, the first thing I say is, okay, can you show me your diary? What does your diary look like? And they're usually a little bit nervous. They'll pull up their diary and I'll have a look at what they've done for the last 4 to 6 weeks. And I'll just show me what they've been doing. And when I look at that, what I usually see is that most people haven't done activities that are driving revenue into the business. If you think about a business, if you have to really simplify it down, has really one of two problems. I need more leads, I need more work, or once you get that solved, I need more delivery. I need more help in actually delivering on the product and service. As soon as you fix this one, guess what happens? I need more delivery. And it's just a constant seesaw that we need to move. And it's the flow between the two that is really important. Where people get stuck is where their focus goes off and they go to what I call grandma's house and they end up doing the next bright, shiny object. So when we look at focus here, what are the activities that are going to help to drive revenue in the business? Now, that would usually be something that's marketing and or on the sales approach. Now, how I like to do this, feel free to do your version of this, is I want to look at what their diary looks like. And the way we look at that is what's the default? And what I mean by default is what's your plan that you've got to start? If most people, when they come out, and really if we look at what the focus here, this is really about being intentional around where your time goes. The ultimate resource that anyone has in their whole business, the ultimate resource is your resourcefulness, but it's actually your ability to allocate the resources, and the most scarce of all of them is your time. So what we're saying here is you/your team, where do your resources go? What's your plan for the week? The way I like to do that as a simple example here is this is an example of my my default diary, and on this diary here, I just have a plan for each day. Now, how you want to do that is up to you, like how you want to plan yours out. But if you look at here, for me on mine, this yellow time, or for me it's golden time, this here is where I'm doing the activities that are growing the business. These are things that are marketing and or sales led. I do it nice and early in the morning, so my brain's in gear, and then I've got whole chunks, whole days where I'm doing it. Now, you can do whatever you want to do, but this here is around making sure that the plan is already set. I don't have to think about, what am I going to do that day? What am I going to do that week? Because it's already predetermined. And then you go, well, when I get to that place, that's when I do it. You'll also notice, for me, about being focused, is a lot of people are not putting enough energy and time in. And I know that's a little bit controversial. You go, oh, I'm working my butt off. And I go, you're probably working 90%. So what I'm saying is, for a lot of people, you got to work a lot harder. And that is putting a lot more effort than what you're doing. When I say a lot more, I mean that what's 90 to go to 100 to perform at an even higher level, but then take a break. So most people are running a marathon, but they're running it at sprint pace. So what we want to be doing is run it a sprint and then have a pause. So as you know, for me here, I particularly like to do exercise mid-morning. So I'll get in and I'll do a mid-morning 10:30. No one's at the gym. It's fantastic. It's great. I start nice and early, get all the fresh stuff. I've already had my day. I've already won my day. By the time it gets to 10:30, the rest of the time I get to have fun. So this here is making sure that we're super clear when we come out the blocks, and we're being intentional around where our time and where our team's time is going. So that's the second thing. Then the third thing is, when we come out the blocks, what we're going to do is really make sure that we have a high degree of focus on sales, especially at the beginning of the year. How do you win? How do you win in 2026 and beyond? How do you win? How do you win the year? You win the year when you win the half year. And for those that are in the Southern Hemisphere, we have a financial year that finishes at the end of June. So you win the financial year, or you win the half year. How do you win the half year? And that is, you win the quarter. How do you win the quarter? You win the quarter by winning the very first month out, which is January. How do you win January? You make sure that in January, you have got a plan for your week that is super solid, and being intentional around what that needs to look like, and heavily focused on what you're going to do specifically to drive more sales. And then you look at it and go, well, that's what I need to do in my first week. What am I going to do on my first day? So the way you win 2026 is to make sure that you've got your first day, most people come out and they're kind of still tired. What we want to do is we want to come out the blocks fast, super fast, so startling that the people around you are like, whoa, what's going on with you? My wife is from a Chinese Asian background, and one of the things I know is very good luck to have that very first sale. The first sale of the day, the first sale of the year. Just think about the mojo, the momentum that's created when you come out the blocks super fast. You come out the blocks and you get a sale. It builds momentum, it builds excitement, and that's what we want for you as well. So these are the three key things. These are like the practical things that will help you to drive forward. There's one little thing though that makes the difference on all of these. And that thing that makes the difference is you. And specifically, how are you going to show up differently? And this is the identity piece. And what I mean by here on identity is, it was a few years ago, 2022, I was at this time of year, I was looking out on the Pacific Ocean, a place called Byron Bay, on a chair on my own. I was going, I'm done. Like, I'm cooked. Like, what happened? And I knew inside of me that there was a part of me that wasn't done, but I felt done. I was like, why is it that I feel done? And when I started doing my thinking about this, what I realized was that the goals that I had set up here were great. At that point, we'd had 37 quarters in a row of consecutive growth, but it was incremental growth, 10%, 15%, 20%. And the truth is, I just got bored. The problem was the goal was too small. It didn't get me excited. It wasn't that I was fatigued. Everyone kept on saying, oh man, you got to slow down. I was like, I didn't need to slow down. What it was, I need to set a bigger goal. And the bigger goal, soon as I set the bigger goal, all of a sudden the energy came back. It wasn't the fact that I was tired. It was the fact that the goal was just not big enough, that I had to become something different to make it happen. I had to elevate my identity. And so the goal that I would say that setting out here and the identity is, who do you need to become? Who do you need to become to achieve that 3-year goal? And for me, it was like, okay, great. Now the energy came back. What does the identity shift need to be for you? We have codified that there are very specific identity shifts that everyone needs to go through depending on the revenue of the business. 0 to 2, 2 to 4, then we go 4 to 8, 8 to 12. There's all these different parts. But straight away right now, even me saying this, who do you already know that is ahead of you in your business, that you kind of go, or ahead of you on bigger business? How do they show up? And that there is the juice that makes all the rest of this worthwhile. That's what actually helps people win. That's how you win in 2026. All the marketing messages of the month, all the flavor of the month, whatever you want to put on there is all nice. That's like icing on the cake. This is the cake. This is the stuff that's going to help you to really hit the ground running. We've been doing this now for over a decade. And what we know is that when people take this approach, what ends up happening is when they have a January that looks down and a December that looks down, and they're going, oh my heavens, I got low periods here. All we have to do for people to have the best years of their life is to make sure as they're going through their business that these periods here, they don't have to be the best months of the year. But all this here, that's your profit that is just getting thrown away. And it's getting thrown away because we're not coming out the blocks fast enough. And so these are the key ways how you can win in 2026. This is the first video in our refresh of our YouTube channel. So if you like this, there's plenty more that we're going to be unfolding that's going to help you to really make sure that this year is the best year you've ever had. To make sure that you get the juice, to make sure you get the golden nuggets of this, hit the subscribe button now, not later, now. Like, hit it now, and what you'll do is you'll make sure that the next series that we've got that's going to come out, you can get access to that and making sure that you can hit the ground running and make sure this truly is the best year you've ever had.